This is Late Night Health. This is the radio show that cares about the most important part of your life, your health. Hi, I'm Mark Alyn, and along with the insane Daryl Wayne, we're going to spend the next 2 hours talking about a wide variety of health issues and topics that touch each and every one of us. For example, when we speak with Robert Clancy, the author of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Soul, he's going to talk about life transitions. We're also going to spend some time with Jackie Lappin during hour 2, and Jackie and I are going to talk about how to kind of get your life in order, because everybody has a message, and she's going to share how to get that out. We're going to start our show with, now, before I give you her name, listen to the laugh. Thank you. You did it on cue. Tonya Hoffmann, who is the CEO and founder of the Public Speakers Association, speaks all around the country and even the world on a wide variety of subjects. She's been on the show before. Just as a recap, she used to be shy. She is anything but now. Do you think, actually, Tonya, you're kind of almost a type A personality now, aren't you?
Well, I think I've always kind of been, I've always wanted to run for president of this association or this function or whatever, even in high school. But a lot of the fears was actually keeping me as an introvert, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So you let your true personality come out. What was the change? What flipped that switch for you?
It was kind of the reality shocker that I was standing in my own way. I think a lot of times we just get to a point in our life that we realize that other people are doing things that we certainly could do ourselves, but it was only ourselves who are keeping us from actually doing those things. And at some point you have to decide, what are you going to do about it?
People getting in their own way. I love that. And even though you're a public speaker, how do you mean getting in our own way?
Well, a lot of times we constantly are trying to hit this perfection, mode. And because of that, and a lot of it is stemmed from childhood or, is something that's caused us to think that everything that we do has to be perfect. And when you do that, then you're always searching for what looks like perfection from other people and then trying to replicate that. Unfortunately, then you suddenly stopped even being yourself. And that's when you become very unauthentic and people start to push away from you, or you start attracting people. You're like, why am I always surrounded by, broke people or people that, are out of control or very, upset people. And a lot of that is because we're not really shining in our own authenticity.
At the same time, I think that's kind of the definition of a procrastinator. A lot of people don't finish a project or procrastinate because they want it to be perfect. And the fact is, we can't be.
Well, especially if you look at owning your own business, if you look at raising children, if you look at even your own health, there is so much value in just creating action, no matter if it's going to be perfect or not, because the pure kind of function of moving forward actually creates momentum. And that's what, I've got, even clients that bought into maybe an email system that hasn't even emailed anything out in 3 years because they're still trying to make their newsletter perfect,
Exactly.
Or someone who has this incredible message, but they're trying to refine it before they even let someone hear it, which is just like maddening to me. I'm like, go out there, change somebody's life. They don't know that your message isn't perfect, and because it will still resonate with someone.
And we're not perfect. I mean, we're,
right.
There is nothing that we can make that's perfect. I've written scripts, I've shot videos, I've done radio shows for years, and there's always something you can make to improve it. And no, you can't. Changing the host is not going to make this show better.
Yes.
but you get what I'm saying, that you can't. So let's find some steps that we can take that will allow us to do that, to get out of the way of ourselves. I mean, I can relate to that wholeheartedly. What would be the first step?
Well, you have to look at, what is your personality, and realize that it is perfect, because you will resonate with a whole group of people that's going to love that person, that you. And anyone who doesn't isn't supposed to be around you anyways. So you have to have what I always consider 2 to 3 really awesome core value rules that you live by. And you make sure that everything you do has to correlate with those rules. So, for example, I've got 2 rules. One of them is you have to be nice. No mean, grumpy, negative people allowed.
I love that. Let's talk about negative people, and we'll come back to your rule
Perfect.
number 2. How do you know if somebody's negative?
Well, you feel when it's heavy, right? When someone is coming up and it feels like you're slushing through that experience with them. And a lot of times it's a perception, because what sometimes a perception for one person as negative isn't for another. So you always have to look at it as your value proposition in your head, because that is where you always start from.
Yes.
You also have to look at your personality as far as humor, because what's funny to you may be offensive to somebody else. So you have to have the understanding that just because it's negative to you does not mean it's negative necessarily to that person. And I know I've kicked out people, from my organization before, but it wasn't purely on what I thought. It was a kind of a talk amongst a lot of people. What did they think of this person? Because I never just take, one voice as the, all per saying, decision. But also, I have a conversation with that person. One of the things that usually happens is a lot of times people don't even perceive that they're being negative until you show them. And that's always a wide opening experience for somebody. And usually they are very thankful and change their approach. Because, again, most people don't realize they're even being negative.
Yeah, I can think of a number of people in my own life, and you just kind of stay away from them a little bit. A couple are family members, a couple are friends, and you just don't interact with them a lot. One of the things that I've noticed is that some people just, they set your antenna up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you back away from them. You feel like your energy is being sucked right out of you.
Totally. And I had a lady that, she was adorable and everyone really liked her, but every time I used to run a networking organization for business owners, and every time she would walk in, people would start to kind of cluster away from her because they didn't want to hear about the horrible thing that just happened to her daughter again or her husband or whatever. There was always some huge traumatic experience that she would come in and tell everybody about. And to her, she was just coming in and talking to friends and telling them, because they would say, how you doing? And unfortunately, they don't really mean that.
Yeah, exactly. There's that laugh. I love that laugh. It is infectious and absolutely not negative. Our guest is Tonya Hoffmann. She's the CEO and the founder of the Public Speakers Association. She speaks all around the country. You speak on this too, don't you? On your personal life?
You usually, even if it's a hardcore business prospect, right, I'm talking on stage about sales process or something, I always bring up about finding your core value rules, because that will in turn create the right momentum you need in everything that you do.
One of the things that that you and I have talked about is the fear of public speaking, and I think that a lot of people who are negative don't mind talking about their problems. But have you noticed they very rarely ask you about yours?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Right.
most people are self-centered, and everything evolves around them, and you have to decide, is those the kind of people you want to really be connected to? If you're trying to build a business or trying to improve your home life or whatever it is.
Or your health.
Or your health, exactly. Right. So say if you're going to the gym and you've got someone, we had gone through several, trainers, and one guy was like screaming and, pointing fingers. And I was
that would not work.
Exactly. I was like, okay, thank you very much. Let me go find some. And you have to find someone that resonates with you, because if not, for me, that does not motivate me.
Tonya, we're going to take some time out, do some business. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. Tonya Hoffmann, the CEO of the Public Speakers Association, and that URL, the website is?
Publicspeakers with an S, association.com.
Publicspeakersassociation.com. All right, Late Night Health continues. Don't go away. More coming up with Daryl Wayne and Mark Alyn.
If you or someone you love suffers from drug addiction, now is the time to utilize your private health insurance PPO plan. If eligible, receive up to $30,000 or more in substance abuse benefits with low or no out-of-pocket cost. We are the National Treatment Network, the premier drug and alcohol treatment referral service operating 24/7. We help connect you with facilities nationwide that accepts PPO private health insurance for substance abuse. If you have PPO substance abuse coverage and you need immediate admittance to a medical detox or residential rehab treatment center, call us now. Call our live referral helpline today. The call is free. This program is not available to Medicare or Medicaid customers.
Call 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. That's 800-296-1252.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate a lower tax bill. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will fight for you using industry secrets that can stop any IRS actions, eliminate penalties and interest, and reduce your past tax bill so you pay the IRS less. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the Tax Doctor now for a free IRS audit emergency review.
800-663-5107. 800-663-5107. 800-663-5107. That's 800-663-5107.